Hi, guys, and welcome back to Hot and Bothered. My name is Christopher Bruno.
I have a secret.
Well, this is a safe space, babe, so please let me know.
Are
And
you ready?
I won't tell anyone.
Are you ready?
I won't tell anyone.
Okay, so we all know Gracie Abrams released her album
Mm-hmm.
and she finally released this one song. I can't remember the name of it. Can you remind me? She finally released this one song that has been like on the docket for years and years and years and years. And like she released like a teaser for it like fucking 10 years ago. And everyone was like, where's the song? So she released an album. Finally, she released this one song, right? I was just excited for the album release because of that one song. I didn't really listen to any of the other songs. And then Chris turned me on to the song Risk.
I
And now every time I'm in trouble and falling in love with somebody, I listen to the song Risk and like I'll just send it to Chris and be like, this is the vibes right now. And that like is literally red alert. Like things are happening and we should all be so concerned.
So what's the secret?
The secret is that Risk is playing on repeat.
I've been there
Mm-hmm.
and I've done that,
Mm-hmm.
and
Is that our code word now? Like anytime one of us is in trouble, we're just gonna
say
say
risk.
Risk. If you're in trouble, if you're not in a safe space, message us Risk. Type in code Risk to get 20% off of
I
your
have
next
a
therapy
secret. I have a
session.
secret.
Tell me immediately.
I'm very drunk right now that I can't even play that song in my head. Like I can't. I'm like risk. I don't know what that sounds like.
That is actually the best place to be, I
I
think.
can't.
That's a safe
I don't
space.
know what that song sounds like.
That is a safe
And I
space.
can recite that song from top to bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and I know every verse to it, but I can't play it in my head right now. I cannot play that song in my head right now.
I'm so jealous of that.
Like, how does it go?
You're going to make me sing it to
I'm like, we're
you.
either gonna pause it and play the song.
We're pausing and playing
Okay,
this
okay, okay.
song.
Hold on, I'm playing it. I'm playing it. I'm playing it. That's gonna be my number one song played for 2024.
I know.
God, I'm actually invested. Watch this be the wrong thing. Heard the risk is drowning, but I'm gonna take it. Bend till I break it. You'll be my favorite mistake.
I'm so fucked.
Yes, I've heard that song before.
So, anyway, Chris and I just had a super long conversation, actually, an entire dinner's worth in which we didn't eat and we just drank.
Me and Cedar went to dinner, you guys. Listen up. Me and Cedar went to dinner, quote unquote dinner,
Dinner.
and we sat down and we're like, oh, babe, like we're just here for a drink. We sit down for dinner and then they move us to the bar because we're not eating. And then we just continued to have 3 cocktails each.
Yeah,
And
and
that was
then
it.
we
And
didn't
if you want
eat.
to talk about going to dinner, that's what it's. When you go to
That's how
dinner,
you go to
that's how you go
dinner.
to dinner.
If there is more food than cocktails, then you're doing dinner wrong.
But also, like, when I go to dinner, it's like I don't go to dinner to eat.
No, you go to dinner for the vibes and the alcohol.
I go to dinner to
and you
chit
drink the
chat, to
alcohol for
talk.
the vibes.
I go there to stare at people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't even talk right now.
And eavesdrop. Oh my god, the conversations that
The
we heard
people
tonight.
behind us, you guys,
Oh
the
my
people behind
god.
us.
It was really good.
It was literally
I was like, Chris, this homosexual behind me, like, do you have eyes on him? Is he hot? And he didn't know who I was
I was
talking
like, they're
about.
on a
Then he
date.
was like, the person behind you, that he's on a date with a woman. And I was like, there's no way he's on a date with a woman. I'm hearing his voice right now. That man is not on a date with this woman. As the evening transpired, it turns out he's wildly homophobic
But he's gay.
because he's gay. He's homophobic because he's
But
gay.
he was gayer than me.
He was so fucking gay.
And there was no way that was a romantic dinner
and
conversation.
I felt really bad for the girl he was with because I was like, in
I
her head.
I don't know the dynamic.
No, because I literally overheard him say something about like three girls like trying to fuck him. And then at one point she was like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, yes, girl. Ask those questions.
But before you heard that, when I started to text you, because I was losing control over trying to give you eye contact, he was like, oh, like, this is about gay people, like something, and like just go on Grindr and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, so what? So
what team are you batting for?
No, I was just like, so what kind of gay are you? But like the way that he said, oh, like gay guys or whatever, and I was like, bitch, you are me, I am you.
Yeah, you are a
so
gay
I was
man.
like, I don't understand where you're going with this entire thing.
Yeah.
And then I got distracted, obviously, but he was saying something about like gay guys on Grindr and basically gay guys just trying to hook up, scare him.
He also said something about gay friends of his friends and them trying to hook up with him and how they are too aggressive and they make him uncomfortable. So he very clearly was like stating like he's not comfortable with homosexuality.
No. What I'm going to say is he was probably 50 and looked a good 35. Also, he was wearing some nice...
So that doesn't answer the question.
No,
Is
it
he
answers
fucking
the
gay or
question.
not?
He's a fucking faggot. And his
But he was
bracelets-
on a date with this girl.
They weren't on a date.
They had to have been.
I would love to have turned a chair around and been like, what's going on here? I want to know everything.
To me, based on the conversation that I heard, because I initially heard his voice and I was like, that is a gay man.
For sure.
And then you were like, no, they're on a date. And then after
But then I chimed
all
into
of
the
that,
voice.
I know. But then after all of that, leaving, I was like, okay, that man is a closeted homosexual. And he's on a date with this woman. And she doesn't know that he's a homosexual.
I don't know. He was gay.
Also, homosexual is a slur. Like if you call somebody a homosexual, that is a slur. Like that is actually a mean thing to say. You can call somebody gay. You can say that that person is gay, but when you say that is a homosexual, that is a slur.
I do not know what their dynamic was.
Yeah.
But I really do feel like they have a seat on this couch.
I would love it if they would come and sit.
And
we
I really
invited
did
them.
I really wanted to, but the thing is, he wasn't comfortable with himself.
No.
And he was making her uncomfortable.
Yes.
At the end of the night.
Yeah.
So we
anyway,
had a good time.
All of that to say that we went to dinner and we had this whole conversation, and in the midst of the debate of whether or not this man was a homosexual, do you want to know what we talked about the whole fucking time?
We talked about...
You'll never guess. It's crazy. It's so out of character for us. What did we talk about, Chris?
We were just it was actually like beautiful. We were just talking about our previous relationships.
Our ex-boyfriends.
Okay, we actually weren't talking about our previous relationships. We were just like having a moment about like our ex-boyfriends and where they are now and what they're doing and how satisfied and / or dissatisfied they were. And we were just spiraling.
No, but it was so fun.
We were just spiraling.
And can you believe?
And we didn't accomplish
solve anything.
We didn't accomplish a goddamn fucking thing.
We didn't solve anything.
We didn't accomplish a single thing.
We shared our worries and fears. We shared everything that we were grateful for, everything we've learned from those relationships,
everything that we resent,
everything we didn't learn from those relationships,
everything that is going to happen once we get those people back.
Yeah.
And how it's all going to tie in to
this
one
mess.
Yes.
To this mess.
To this actual mess.
To this mess. Because let's be honest, neither Chris or myself have ever had a conversation with our respective exes
about
regarding this podcast.
Yeah.
Which and we've talked to them. We've spoken with them. Have you?
He was just like, my friends think that like it's embarrassing and that you're crazy.
Well, yeah, duh.
And I'm like, obviously.
That's a given. We knew that before the podcast existed.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I know that you're following this account with
a burner.
dozen burners.
I worry about that a lot. How many people care enough to have a burner that follows the account?
I think that we're like giving ourselves enough, like too much credit, not enough.
Sure.
I think that we're giving ourselves too much credit with that. Like,
yeah,
it's easy to find, but then again,
Some people want to be in the know.
Some people, and
I
honestly,
also think
like,
I also think that in regard to our close friends, if you guys know, then you know our close friends. If you want to be on our close friends, just leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts and send us a screenshot, and we'll add you. But I wonder if there are any individuals on this planet that care enough about our lives, shamefully, that would go to that extent.
no, finish your thought.
To try to be in our close friends.
To create like a fake account,
Because you have to go to extreme lengths.
And I think I know a few people who would do that. I know a few people who would do that. And I know
That's
people
the
who have
tea.
the access and the time and the energy to create fake Instagram accounts, fake Spotify, YouTube, whatever the fuck, Apple Music
But even
accounts.
on Apple, I think you get to choose what your username is, so it doesn't. No one really knows
My
who you
username on
are.
Spotify is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. Like I don't even have a username
Yeah,
on
and I
Spotify.
think I think the same thing applies for Apple. And yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be hard. It wouldn't be a hard thing to do.
But honestly, we don't give a fuck.
Well,
If you're gonna
obviously we
try
don't
that
care.
hard, if you're gonna do that, bitch, I will give you the tea.
It's public information. Like, it's not hard to access. Like, we're not
And
like.
sometimes we
we're
like
not
post
hiding
shit, and I'm like,
anything.
someone could be screen recording this, but I'm like,
Also, don't care.
like zero fucks.
Actually, don't.
I
fucking
posted something
care.
on our close friends last weekend, blacked out fully. Actually, it was on Friday. I was like literally blacked out. Do you remember that?
No. What'd you post?
After that date, I was like,
oh yes,
like literally, I was eating mochi in my kitchen, and I
Mhm.
was like, "We're gonna talk about this in the morning." Like, I have a workout class at 8
and then
a.m.
you never talked
and
about
then
it.
and then I was like, "Sorry, girls, gotta go." Like, I was like, not happening."
Yeah. For what it's worth, if you are on our close friends and you did see that and you didn't get to hear the end of the story, that's not an uncommon experience, because I still don't know what the fuck happened with that date. But like, that's normal and fine, because Chris has never finished a thought in his fucking life.
I don't know what else to say here.
Anyway, so what were we talking about in regard to our ex-boyfriends?
You're gonna get married.
Okay, bleep. Hello.
Okay. You are fully in love with your ex still, and he's fully in love with you still. And my ex, we're besties.
I actually met his ex for the first time, and I think I'm more in love with him than you ever have been.
I love him. He's a great guy, and we've been.
Can you guys believe that? Chris and I have been friends for over 2 years
Bitch,
now.
I haven't seen this guy.
We had our 2-year
anniversary.
Like, what was it, last week or something?
We did.
And I had like a Snapchat memory or something come up, and I was like, oh my God, 2 years ago today, I met Chris Bruno. But anyway, so Chris and I have known each other for 2 years. He was still in a relationship when I met him, and as was I. And I never, ever, ever had met his ex-boyfriend until literally last week. And you'll be meeting mine at our wedding in 2 weeks.
That I will be consummating, and that I will be the maid of honor at as well. But you liked him?
Yeah.
He's sweet. There's nothing not to like about him.
I need one-on-one time with him, because I know that I love him.
I know, but you guys are maybe a little too similar, and that's probably why I broke up with him.
Yeah. And why you'll break up with me.
Honestly.
No, I don't know. We love them.
Yeah.
But what we were talking about, well, you said we wanted to talk about our ex-boyfriend. So are we getting into it or no?
Yeah, bitch. You want me to start? You want to start?
Well, where are we going with this? So the point being that the thing that I was trying to say when Chris and I were at dinner was that, like, the thing with my ex-boyfriend was, I've never in my life, I know this sounds insane, and I know I sound like a dumb girl who's never experienced anything in her life, but I'm like, I've never been loved like that before. And every example I've ever been given of other people's relationships where they're like, oh, I know this person is the love of my life. I know this person is my soulmate. And then I learn more about that relationship and how they were treated in that relationship, and it's not the same. It can't be compared. And like, I was talking to somebody in this same situation, and I was like, yeah, when I was with my ex-boyfriend, he would do XYZ, and he said XYZ, and he like did all these things for me to give me reassurance, to be a good partner, to do like acts of service, like words of affirmation, whatever the fuck. And like, multiple people in the same situation have been like, oh, my ex wasn't like that. And I'm like, okay, so did I just peak? Like, was that the peak? Like, I don't know how to
You're like,
interpret
my
that.
ex did all of this for me, and
he's the love of
you're
my life.
equating yours to mine, but yours isn't even like
hasn't even scratched the
close.
surface.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, although don't get me wrong, my ex had all of his own faults and there were many of them. Love him anyway though. But like how am I supposed to fucking gauge? Like how am I supposed to gauge? Like are these things normal or are they not normal? And I have this problem often because as we all know I have divorced parents and like they divorced when I was like semi young, 12 years old, which is like a very pivotal age.
I was going to say that as a pivotal age.
Like, gee, if there's a worse time, there isn't a worse time.
You're
for
either
your
11 or
divorce.
13 if it's worse.
And so because of that, I've never witnessed like what a healthy relationship looks like. So when I witness a healthy relationship, which usually like I see maybe once every 5 years, and it's like a friend's relationship. And like, for example,
that's pretty good.
What?
Once every 5 years.
I mean, I'm only 26.
Okay, but still.
Yeah. So my really good friend is dating a really great guy and they seem to have a very healthy relationship, and like when I'm around them, I feel so juvenile because I'm like, what do you guys do in this situation? What do you talk about here? And like when I hear them having like very like adult developed conversations about hard things and in front of me, I'm like literally so locked in. I'm like, oh my God, tell me
like
more.
You have the answers for
like,
everything.
What does that look like? How
like,
do you guys feel about
tell
this?
me.
How do you navigate this? Like,
yeah.
How do you know? I'm like so
like you have all the answers. You are my fucking crystal ball.
Wide-eyed.
I need
so
to know
curious.
everything. What is the fucking secret? What is the secret sauce?
The long and the short of it is that there is no fucking answer, obviously. Because
it's just vibes.
It's just vibes, I guess.
It's just vibes.
And then so what does that mean for me? But anyway, what does that mean for you?
I don't know. Like my ex, I love him dearly. Yeah. I don't think that we were talking about this at dinner. Like I don't think that there is a world in which that me and him will ever have a romantic. We didn't while we were together. So there's no world in which we will have anything. But remind me your question.
Well, I was indirectly using you as an example, but I didn't want to call you out.
Oh, okay, for what?
Because I was saying like you and I, when we first started talking about our exes together, we were very much aligned in that we were like, we love them. They're the love of our lives, like blah, 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 blah. And then as I've grown to learn more about your past relationship specifically, you are one of those people where I gave you very clear examples of the way in which my past partner showed up for me. And you said to me, oh, my ex never did that for me.
Correct.
And that is like one of the differentiations where I'm like, is that even a word? Where I'm like, so I think this person is my soulmate. You, quote unquote, like, obviously,
I think there's a lot of different factors that go into that. I think it's love languages and how they're given and how they're received and how you can acknowledge that. And we talked about that at dinner. I was like, well, what was like your love language and what was his love language? And you were like, he hit all of them at 100%. And then we got into the love bombing conversation and then we started talking about love bombing. But I think that for me, I do think that like I was probably giving him not enough credit because there were boxes that he checked in the beginning. And then once I hit the point of resentment, then I was like, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how great you are, no matter how good Christmas goes with you and my grandma, that's like a Catholic, and that we're like singing fucking Kumbaya and playing board games on Christmas, no matter how great that goes, I'm gonna fucking hate you.
Yeah.
Because there are things that aren't being met and I'm a fucking bitter cunt.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
To an extent.
Okay.
Not to just be like repeating the conversation we had at dinner, but like, as I also told you at dinner, like there are a lot of things that I will continue to resent my ex for, but I do think that my love for him and like my connection with him overpowers some of that resentment to a certain extent. And it's like, basically what I need from him is just acknowledgement and like apologies for the things that weren't handled correctly, the things that went wrong and like how he could have been a better partner, because I've done obviously a year and a half worth of reflecting on this, and I can list a number of things in which I could have done differently to be a better partner for this person, but I can also list a million things in which he could have done better to be a better partner to me. And my resentment for him isn't like it doesn't matter what you do to make up for it, I'm still going to hate you. It's like I love you regardless, but I need you to acknowledge these things and apologize for them.
Correct. And I understand that. And we need to acknowledge you were with your ex for how long were you guys together?
Like 6 months.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
6 months. I was with mine for almost 5 years.
A year and a half later, and I'm still like, oh, my ex.
Because you, within like that first 6-month period, which I think that we can both acknowledge, is like, there's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
You're still holding on to like that image of that person and what they could be and who they are and how they made you feel.
Yep.
But for me, like a 4.5, 5 year thing is like, no, I fucking hate you. And it's like, there's no reversing that.
Yeah.
And there's no way for me to, like, you exited at the prime time of a relationship.
Which I also said this earlier. I should have stayed longer so I could have just closed the fucking chapter.
So you could have just hated him, period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I exited at a time where I had to exit in terms of like to maintain even a sense of self-respect.
Correct.
And that's where it's like so frustrating, is that like I know what he's capable of. I know the partner.
But you didn't have the time to test it during your relationship because you shut it off right at that pivotal moment where you could have got the answers that you needed, but you just did it a little too prematurely.
It's like, how much do I want to hate this person, basically,
and how much do I want to put myself through?
Exactly.
And I understand that it's probably easier for you to do that.
So if you think you're starting to hate your partner, just stay with them a little longer,
just
and I promise you'll move on.
Just stay with them for 5 years. Just stay with them for 5 years, and then you guys will be actually best friends. You guys will be like so good. Just stay with it for another 4 years once you hit that 6-month mark, and then you guys will be good.
I also just think, and I know this could so easily be perceived as like naive thinking, but I'm also just like, what?
You're like, I'm gonna marry him. You're like, I'm gonna marry him. You're like, I don't give a fuck. You're like, that's my boy. You're like, that's my guy. You're like, I know this is naive, but like, we were together for 6 months, and that's my baby.
I know how ridiculous it is.
Yes.
I know how ridiculous it is. However, like,
that's your bitch.
That's my husband.
You're like 6 months, mamas.
I've said
no. I'm not diminishing the 6 months at all.
I know that you're not.
But I'm just saying it's like funny.
There's two sides to the coin, right? People are always like, well, you need to stay together longer to know. And then there's certain people that are like, we got married after 2 weeks of knowing each other. We've been married for 562 years. And I'm like, great
because
for
they have
you
no
guys.
choice.
But I'm also
they have
like,
no
how
choice.
what exactly? They have no choice. I had a fucking choice, and I got out of 6 months.
No, if you get married after like 2 months or 6
I know.
months or whatever, like,
I know.
I will go to my fucking grave.
I know.
Because that shit is embarrassing.
And I've always said the same thing until I fucking met a person and I was like, oh no, like, I'll marry you tomorrow. Like, I will marry you tomorrow. And then obviously there's a rational part of my brain that was like, no, we need to be together for a while before we actually get married. Da 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 da. And like, I know how embarrassing, I know how naive and idiotic it sounds. I'm not even saying this just to be that person. I met him one night. We spent a weekend together. We didn't speak for like another 3 months. And then we reconnected. And from the weekend that I met him, even during that time in which we weren't speaking, I was like, I don't know, something about this guy. Like there's something unexplainable and undeniable there. And like that could be literally like just me being a fucking dumb bitch. And that's a very real possibility. 1000%.
You know what I want to talk about?
Please, God, let's change the subject.
No, bitch, it's about this. The undeniable unexplainable connection that you have with somebody, regardless if you know that they are
great or horrible
or if you want to self-sabotage or if you
Mhm.
want to fucking rip them apart or
Mhm.
if you hate them for whatever reason it is, that unexplainable connection is the fucking key.
Yeah.
Like that unexplainable connection that you have with somebody that is so unhealthy, honestly. It's unhealthy. It's
Yeah.
unhealthy.
It's unhealthy, it's abnormal, it's not practical, it's irrational.
It's fucking irrational. You lose control of your emotions, you lose control of everything. That single thing that someone can provide is fucking addicting. It's a
Mhm.
drug, but it is also the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm horny.
Mhm.
So,
But it's also like
it's the best feeling in the world.
sometimes you really just can't put it into words. You
Mhm.
really can't. Like my ex introduced me to one of his friends one time who was just like he was just like a funny, silly, goofy guy, and he came up to me our first time meeting and he was like, "What is it about him that you like?"
And
And
you're like, I can't.
I like tried to think of something witty and funny and I couldn't think of anything and I was like, I don't know how to explain it.
It's so fucking
I
cliche and
literally said,
gay.
I know. And I was like, I don't know how to explain it. And anyway, that was the conversation. And then, like, he walked away later and whatever. And he went up to my boyfriend at the time and he was like, I like her and she fucking loves you.
Mhm.
And my boyfriend told me about that later. And I was like, I was really embarrassed about that answer, but like, I don't know how else to put it. But like, for this person who was married and like had kids and was happy in his relationship, like, for him, he was like, oh, yeah, that's it. Like, yep, I get it. And so then
Like that's like the key.
for me, that was like the validation of like, okay, I'm on it. Although I know I
Mhm.
could have come up with something like witty and funny and like in that moment, something that you say to a guy's friend, like a
Mhm.
boy's boy, like kind of thing. But he still like that resonated with him
Mhm.
apparently, and like I don't know
And I think that we're all just looking for that feeling that
that
we can't
feeling.
explain and that
Yeah.
validation. And I think that maybe if you can pinpoint it,
Mm-hmm.
then if you can give an answer to it,
An easy answer.
if you can, because I don't know, like
Then maybe it's too simple.
then maybe then maybe that's your answer. If you can answer the question, then maybe that's your answer.
But something I've come to learn as I've grown is that some people do prefer that type of relationship that is simple.
1,000%.
And I don't think that that's for me, but I know that that is for some people.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's where they find peace, then that's great. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't need my relationship to be peaceful. I just need my relationship to be, I don't know, intense.
I know exactly what you're gonna say. You want your relationship to be like, what's the fucking word? I know the word and I don't.
Passionate.
No, that's like doesn't even scratch the surface of it.
Mm-mm.
You want it to be like,
Deep.
I don't even know how to say it. Like you just want to like implicitly be able to like trust this person. Like I don't know. Like when I think about what I want in a relationship, it's just like I want someone who zero boundaries. Like I can be as chaotic and as fucking psychotic and as neurotic as I
Mm-hmm.
possibly fucking am. But I
Mm-hmm.
also need that person to be like my fucking ride or die.
Mm-hmm. Like unconditional.
No, but I don't know. I feel like these words don't
They
even
don't
explain
describe
it.
it. No, they don't.
They're too like
Basic.
textbook.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
like no, you want somebody who will literally like I don't want to say this because I like had this conversation with somebody before, but it's like you want that person to like hide the fucking body with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like
Yeah.
you want that person to like zero questions. It's like
Mm-hmm.
this is my bitch.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
They're so in it with you that like it can't you can't rationalize it with other people.
No, like I want somebody that like knows me better than I know myself.
1000%.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Mm-hmm.
very difficult.
And is okay with who you are, but like you're even the worst sides of you
Mhm.
is in love with that side of you as well.
Mhm. I need to be in love. I'm bored.
Hi guys, welcome back to Hot and Bothered.
Ah.
I'm Cedar Champ.
30 minutes later. Hi. I'm Chris Bruno.
On this podcast, we talk about everything that we find hot as fuck.
And everything that bothers the absolute fucking shit out of us.
Which today apparently is love.
Honestly, not really. We're just like...
We're hot and we're bothered about it. And we love love, but we also need a certain level of love and connection that you literally cannot put into words.
But what I also need is someone who's going to let me live my fucking life. Like, don't get in my way. Like, don't bother me.
And how do you have a connection that is that intense and that closely intertwined, but still maintain a sense of independence and individuality? I don't have the answer to that.
I do.
What is it?
You just have to find someone who's like gives you that space.
But at the
and
same
that
time,
trusts you and like respects you
Yeah.
and isn't fucking insecure and weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But also, I feel like that kind of thing falls more on, because I'm guilty of this and you're guilty of this, and we've also talked about this, like that falls actually more on us than them, because we're the kind of people who would be like, oh, like I'm in a relationship, like no, I don't want to do this because like I love this person and blah 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 blah, like I want to like make them happy and I don't want to like make them uncomfortable and whatever. But it's actually like it's a balance, it's a dance between being able to remain who you are and being able to like respect the person that you're with and for them to respect you. It's a really fucking difficult thing to do, actually.
Especially because in the beginning, like especially when you're in your honeymoon phase,
you want to cut out the fucking world and you just want to blow them all day long. Like all you want to do is like fucking blow them.
And it's not just about like appeasing them. It's also about like, it's just because you don't want to do anything else.
No,
except
you're like,
for, like,
I just
want to
like
them.
literally jerk off with you and like die and shut the blinds and like only be with you. You know what I mean?
And then come back to life and then do it all over again.
Yeah, like I'll go to work and like I'll be checked out and then I'll do it all again because like I don't know, it's difficult, but that's what you get when you get that feeling, bitch. Like it's a hard cycle. Being in love is not the vibe sometimes. I don't know. Are you hot or are you bothered? Because we have a lot to talk about.
We're going to circle back to this conversation in a later episode because things are transpiring. So,
are you hot or are you bothered?
I'm bothered this week because I get it. Listen here. Listen here.
Listen here.
That's something my uncle would say.
Serious XM, listen here.
I know that we've talked about the election multiple times. We briefly touched on Halloween. We've talked about all these things. And now we're talking about our ex-boyfriends being the loves of our lives. But like, what I need to do is I need to circle back to Halloween, unfortunately, because first of all, I looked fucking so good on Halloween with my blonde bob. I've never looked better. And I'm legitimately debating chopping off all my hair.
I won't let you.
Don't come for me. I know it's probably never going to happen. Whatever. But what I do want to say was that I had this experience with somebody on Halloween where we were in a group, a massive group of people, of friends, and there was a person that was into me, right? And that's fine and normal. However, it was a lingerer. Do you know what I'm saying? A relatively attractive person, but I'm also like essentially asexual, and I'm not going to fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to fuck you. And there's been no body language or indication that I am going to fuck you. Why are you making that face?
Okay.
Do you remember the last time I've had a one night stand? Or like fucked somebody on the first night?
Honestly, like a year ago.
Who was that?
I don't know. Someone that lives in Venice.
Don't know who that would be. But anyway, it doesn't happen. Anyway, so I had this experience on Halloween night where there was like a lingerer and I was like, this guy is cute and I'm like intrigued. Like I'm into this person. But then it was like he was hanging around. I could feel that he was staring at me. Like he kept trying to talk to me.
Like he marked his territory already.
He was like, yeah. But he was like talking to me and like another girl. And I was like, okay, it's very abundantly clear that you're looking for somebody to go home with, and you're picking the only two
that were like foreign objects in the situation.
Yes, the only two people that he didn't know, the only two people that could potentially be available.
The
right?
only two people that like he hasn't tried with already before.
Yes, exactly. And there was some lingering, and like there was some light conversation. Then I would like literally turn my back to this person and like carry on with my night, because like I don't like that pressure. I don't want that pressure. Like, we can go out for a drink at some point and then maybe I'd fuck you then. But like, it's not going to happen tonight. We can have a cutesy little conversation.
Like, it's sensory overload. There's too many people.
And I'm with my friends. I'm trying to have a good night. My focus here is not on fucking somebody.
Correct.
And
well, it always is.
But it also never is at the same time.
I agree.
It's just like boys are for entertainment, and sex isn't always the entertainment. You know,
it's never the entertainment.
It's never the entertainment. And so this person was just lingering, and I was just like, okay, like what the fuck am I supposed to do here? And it just got to a point where I was like frustrated because I was too aware of my surroundings, and I didn't want to like function throughout my night like knowing that this person was like looking at me,
babysitting you,
literally
babysitting you.
And I'm like, okay, well, I also like, I think you're cute, and like, would I have a drink with you and maybe fuck you at a later date? Potentially, but it's not gonna happen tonight. But I can't look at you and say, hey, it's not fucking happening, because then that closes all doors, right? And also, this is a friend of a friend, and like, I don't want to be rude and like whatever. But at the same time, it's like, why are you lingering? Like, to me, a picture perfect evening of like being approached by a romantic interest is we're having a good night separately. We can have a light conversation, but honestly, the music is too loud and I'm never going to hear a word that you say because I have really bad hearing the way that it is.
Hate an interview in a club.
I hate when a guy is trying to have a conversation with me in a club. Do not do that, because it's like at that point, you can't hear anything I'm saying. I can't hear anything you're saying.
What?
It is so obvious that you're just looking for somebody to go home with, and you're pretending to care about me enough to have a conversation with me so you can fuck me later.
And you have like a list of questions that you're trying to get through. You're not even hearing the answers.
Who are you friends with?
Yeah.
Like, shut the fuck up.
No,
I
like,
actually don't care.
This isn't a job interview.
No.
I'm trying to like take a shot and like
dance
take a picture
with my friends
and dance.
Yeah, yes.
Like, but
take a shot, take a picture, and dance with my friends.
That's it.
That is what my night is consisting of, and it's not consisting of screaming at you over the music so I can understand like
what you do for work,
the name of your family dog,
yeah,
and like whatever else. Like, that is not something I'm interested in doing tonight. So to me, as I was saying, my ideal method of like being approached by a guy is like a hey, like, how's it going? How's your night going? Like, are you having fun? Da 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 da. Like, I'd love to connect later. What's your Instagram? Can I have your phone number? But always ask for my Instagram, not my phone number, because I'll never text anybody back. But get my Instagram. Let's move on with our nights. And if we decide to connect later,
keep a little bit of that mystery.
Leave a little bit of mystery.
Yeah.
But one thing you shouldn't do ever, ever, ever is linger.
It's awkward. It's awkward as fuck. It's
and it
weird.
Puts too much pressure on me in a scenario where I'm trying to not feel pressure.
Yes.
Because I'm having fun with my friends. That is one scenario in which I do not ever want to feel an ounce of pressure. I'm there just to enjoy myself.
I know, but also we're kind of like the people where like the stereotypical person who like wants to find somebody would take that on as like, this person is showing interest in me. This person wants to get to know me. Like, this
could be a connection.
This is how it's supposed to feel. This is the connection. But like for people like you and I who are autistic, who are asexual. And I've also talked about this before where I'm like, when I'm with my friends, it's like you could put somebody in front of me and I would be like, I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
Yeah.
But it's like textbook, like trying to connect with somebody. Like someone would easily fall for that, but maybe we're just like, I don't even want to say like a little too developed, but like we're just.
if I'm seeking out something romantic, it's usually more intentional than that. But I do think that historically,
Yeah.
that is how people met people once
Yeah.
upon a time, before
Yeah.
dating apps and like before whatever else. Like, so yeah,
Maybe
that
he was
is
just
like,
trying to be like an old school gentleman.
maybe he was just trying to be a guy, and like that is like
And you're
how
like, that's
you.
not how it works for me.
No, and it's not. And like that's fine, but also at a certain point, like take a hint and stop lingering.
Back to the lingering thing for sure,
Just don't
1,000%.
linger.
What I was actually going to say earlier was like, me and Cedar have a rule. If someone leaves us a nasty comment, we respond to it once. If they respond to it again, we do not respond.
No, because then at that
That's
point,
weird.
it's desperate and you're
No,
defending
that's
yourself.
but also that's weird. But
Mhm.
it's the same thing in this type of situation. If you're at a bar or a club with somebody and like you have an interaction and then like it ends, if you try and go back to it, I don't think this is a good analogy at all, but I don't give a fuck.
I think it's a great analogy.
It's like
you greet somebody with pleasantries, and if you don't make a move to get their phone number or something, and then they are over it and they turn
you
their
don't
back
need
on
to like,
you.
hey babe, like you look so good. What is your costume? Can I get your phone number? No.
No, that's what I'm saying. But like, you can have like that light, easy conversation, but then when that person is like, okay, and then they want to go back to enjoying their night, don't circle back a second time, a third time, a fourth time. Like, let it go.
Honestly, you guys, this is like a rule of thumb for me, and I don't think I've ever talked about this before, but like if I'm ever trying to like hit on somebody and there's an awkward moment of silence, which I don't hit on people.
No.
My point is though,
Yeah.
even if someone's trying to hit on me, whatever the case may be, if there's like that lull,
It's time to move on.
it's time to go.
Get the
If
number.
there is
get
the
the
lull,
Instagram. Move on.
don't even. If someone asked for my Instagram or my phone number, I would actually call security.
No,
Like
I'll
I'm
give
not.
it to you to leave me alone. And whether or not I do anything with that later is a different fucking
But
story.
listen. The point is, if there's a lull, exit, divert, and
I think
go
that's
get
key.
drunk. Go get drunk. Go do your thing. Go do your thing. Go divert. Go do your thing. If you guys circle back organically, and there is no lull, then there's your answer, and that's your husband, and that's the love of your life. But
I think the lull is key. And I think when the lull happens, you either give it up until something happens organically, or you secure a phone number and Instagram and you move on and do not circle back.
I don't think the lull is key. I think that the way that you respond to the lull is key.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The lull is where things need to happen.
That's the pivotal moment.
That's where you shit or get off the fucking pot. If the lull happens and you stay sitting there staring at me like a deer in headlights.
Horrible.
If the lull happens and you stay standing there staring at me with a blank fucking stare,
I can't even imagine.
Waiting for me to perform for you like I'm some fucking puppet. Absolutely
the lull,
fuck
the
not.
lull, bitch. I turn around, I go do my thing. And
I won't be speaking to you again.
You guys need to be more aware.
Yeah.
Socially, spatially, self-aware.
When the lull happens,
run.
Do something and run. So now are we aligned on that?
Yes.
Okay, thank God. Jesus Christ.
We just have communication problems. I think that we know what the deal is.
We absolutely
We just have
know.
different ways of interpreting it.
Absolutely. But we're always so fucking aligned.
I know, and it takes us like 3 days to come around to it. It takes us like literally a week to figure it out.
I know.
We're like, oh wait, we were actually thinking this. We have the same like
thought process.
An ideology.
Hi.
You're so stupid.
Happy Tuesday. Are you hot or are you bothered?
I'm bothered.
Why are you bothered?
I'm bothered because, as some of you may know, the situationship has ended, and we'll get into that when we get into that because that's not happening tonight.
I'm advocating for Chris to do a tell-all.
We're gonna have a Barbara Walters interview, and honestly, you guys, it's gonna be really fucking epic.
It's gonna be really good.
It's gonna be really good. But and this is weird because I've always thought, like, for my past experience, it's always been like when you're in a relationship, or not when you're in a relationship, we don't have to get that far, but whenever I've like expressed interest in somebody, no matter how internal that can be, like there's always people that pop out of the woodwork. You know what? You know, if I'm ever like, oh my God, like, wait, maybe I like this person. Maybe I don't like this person. If I start to like somebody,
A million men come rushing in.
like rats out of the
Mm-hmm.
fucking sewer.
Literally New York
Hey, what are you
subway
doing tonight?
system
Hey, this,
rats.
like, I'm like,
Yep.
bitch.
Yeah.
The second I start to like consider somebody, there are people that I met 3 years ago across the country that are like,
Asking to take you to
hey,
dinner.
like, what are you doing this weekend? And
I'm gonna be in
I'm like,
town.
what?
Let's go to dinner.
I'm like, what?
Where'd you come from?
I'm like, who?
Can I help you?
I'm like, I forgot that you, like, I met you in Austin, Texas in
Sorry,
2018.
I don't have this number saved. Who is this?
I'm like, I don't understand what's going on.
I know.
But this has been a little bit different. So me and my situationship had like a, not a random, maybe it was meant to be. We had like an explosive little burnout, and love her to death. But I'm back on my I'm back on my bullshit, and I'm happy with that. And I don't want to say that.
Which
I don't want to say back on my bullshit. Cut that out. I don't want to. I don't want to say. I don't want to say I love her. Oh, that's so disgusting. Oh my God. That was so disgusting. All of that. Oh my God, Cedar. I don't want you to have to look at that and edit that. Okay, so me and my situation.
hold on. Reel it in, regather. Go.
I'm back to my life before, as anyone would be,
Hitting
as anyone should
resume.
be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm hitting literally resume. I'm like, didn't work, and life fucking goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am, and like all of a sudden I'm like, there's an influx of people from the past.
Love. That's my
from
favorite.
the past.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, sure. I'm like, if it works for me, if it's convenient for me, if it aligns with what, like, I'm like, yes.
Let's entertain.
Like, I don't care. I'm like, we know each other. Like, we're all friends here. It doesn't
We're
matter.
family.
I'm fucking bothered. Did you ask me if I'm hot or am I bothered?
I did, and I don't know if you answered.
I'm bothered
Mm-hmm.
because I'm letting these people back into my life, and I'm really bothered by the amount of people. Honestly, this is really bad. This is really bad, and it's honestly fucking embarrassing for me. Like, for the people that think that they can fall asleep on my couch, in my bed, in my apartment, the people that think that they can come over and use my home as a place of rest for themselves is not something like that bothers me. Like, if you are, hello, do you have something to say?
Lingerers. Let's talk about
No,
lingering.
it is adjacent to what you said.
Lingering.
I'm like, literally, so this guy that I used to hook up with.
My home is not your
listen,
home.
this guy that I used to hook up with texted me literally 2 days ago. I don't remember what it was. He was like, hey, and I was like, obviously don't have the number saved. And I was like,
why would you?
Yeah, and then I was like, scroll. I was like, oh, okay.
This one.
I was like, okay.
Okay.
I was like, okay, come over. So I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, yeah, but whatever, come over. Comes over, walks in the door, and he was like, are you hungry? I'm gonna order some food. And I was like, I'm not hungry.
Why
It's
don't you just bring
9
groceries and
p.m.
cook, since this is your house too, obviously.
I'm like, babe, what? I'm like, okay, I'll like, what?
If I wanted you to come over for dinner, I would have said come over for dinner.
Yeah, I was like, it's 9 o'clock. Like, clearly, I don't need to like write it out in the fucking stars at 9 p.m. because I'm like, you're here for one thing and one thing fucking only.
You'd think.
Comes over, he's like, I'm gonna order something, and I was like, okay, like, order
yourself.
something. Like, I'm not gonna go sit at the table with you while you're eating like whatever the fuck you're ordering.
Curry.
Like, I'm not like, I just like weird. I'm like, also like, I had anxiety. I was like, I don't want you to like. I can't eat food in front of somebody.
If they're not eating as well.
Correct.
And if there's not background noise.
Correct.
There needs to be something else happening. And I'm not eating alone.
I actually can't eat in front of somebody who's not eating.
No, that's my worst fear.
I can't eat in front of somebody who's not eating.
Yeah. Yep.
So that whole thing. And then I was like, and then this guy falls asleep on my couch. How? this is the kind
Wait,
of
so he came over, he ate, and he slept
no,
on your
he didn't even
couch?
order food because I was like, I was like, oh, are you hungry? Like whatever. And then he was like, no, just like I had like such a long day at work. Like, and I'm like, these
And
are
of
the
course,
kind
you
of
were probably like, order something then.
no,
Like, if you're
I was like,
hungry.
please, I was like, order something. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't have like, I was like, I just did an Ozempic last week. Like, I don't have
Yeah.
anything to cook you. Like, do you want like a nerd's rope? Like, I
Yeah.
don't have anything to offer you, but
A popsicle.
like, babe, literally a popsicle, like a mochi from Trader Joe's, but like, I don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything to give you. Anyway, this guy falls asleep on the couch, and I was just like,
Why'd you come here?
I was just like, this is the kind of shit that makes me want to kill myself. That makes me want to die.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the reason why I will marry somebody and want to kill myself, because marrying somebody and not having to experience something like this will make me want to kill myself
Yeah.
less than
Yeah.
experiencing something like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, and this has happened multiple times over the past 2-3 weeks. I'm like, you guys, I'm like, this is not an orphanage.
So this has happened also where like another person has come over and like has just hung out and then fallen asleep on your couch.
Or in the bed.
Right.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I would never in a million years be able to fall asleep in somebody's bed.
And like this isn't happening on like a Saturday night where you both get back to your place and you're like blacked out
Oh
and
no, it's
like you
not
just
like
like
it's
fall
not like
asleep.
it's
It's
not
like a
like a
Tuesday
it's
night
like a it's like a
and they're like coming over obviously for like a late night hookup kind of thing and
yeah.
then they're like just staying the night.
And I have no shame in being like, bitch, wake up, you gotta go. Like I have shit to do in the morning. Like
Yeah.
that's me. Like I do that. I'm like, bitch, like you're snoring and you're taking up the whole bed, and like
Yeah.
I don't even know what the fuck's going on here. Like you gotta go. Like
You're not shy.
I'm not shy at all. I'm like, I pay rent here and you
Yeah.
fucking don't,
Yeah.
and this is like my
Yeah.
world.
Unless you're pitching in for the
Not
utilities,
even
then like
that.
you
I'm
need to
like, no, I
go.
don't even give a fuck. Like you could pay me $1,000,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, my sleep tonight is worth more
And
than
my alone time.
and my sanity. So it's weird. I'm bothered because I do not understand. I could maybe it's the way that I was raised, maybe it's like the way that I live, but like if you are going to somebody's house and falling asleep almost instantly after you get there, after you eat or after you have sex, like I would like
Why
what
are you so comfortable?
why are you so
I
comfortable?
can't
And like what
imagine.
prescription do I
I
need to
can't
take to give me that
imagine.
ability?
No,
Like what
literally.
prescription do I need to take
Literally.
to have that?
And maybe on another note, like maybe you should take a compliment to that because you're obviously like creating a space where like
And
people
we've
feel
talked about
comfortable.
that.
And we talked about that too. And like people come over to my house, people often say, like, your apartment feels safe for me. Like your apartment is like a space that I want to stay and hang out. And like people will tell me that. I'm like, thank you so much. It's like
I get
I've
that.
put a lot of energy into like fostering that
And I know that
environment.
I have literally the most
However,
comfortable bed in the world.
yeah, but there is a certain point, especially when it comes to a hookup. And we've talked about this before because I've had my problems with people who linger
Mm-hmm.
the morning after or the night of or like whatever the case may be. And there is a certain point where it's like, hello, self-awareness is so fucking key. And it's like, okay, why are you still here?
It's just I'm like, get the fuck out.
Don't you want to go home to your own bed? For me, like when I'm like at a stranger's house, like there, whether it's like to hang out a little bit, whether it's to watch TV, whether we're like hooking up or like whatever, like I'm so fucking excited to go home to my own
Oh
bed
my god.
and be alone and
A thousand
digest whatever
percent.
just
No
happened in
matter
this dynamic with this other person.
of
Like I'm
course.
so excited to go home and just be alone and be in my own space. Like I just cannot imagine being so comfortable. Just like,
I'm not comfortable at anybody's house.
no.
I'm not comfortable in anybody's space but my own.
I've maybe been like 75% of the way comfortable in your space, but like,
And
yeah,
same
and that's,
here.
yes. And like, we basically live together. Like, we've spent so much
Yeah.
time together that it's like we should be at that level, but
Yeah.
like, it is,
But we're also like so paranoid and
yeah.
so
But some people aren't paranoid enough. Some people need to be more self aware. Some people need to be more like, I love that you're comfortable. I'm happy for you.
I don't.
But please
I'm
be
not.
but please be mindful of me. Please be mindful of my space. Please be mindful of the time that I need. Like, I have a really good friend who was staying with me for a little while on and off. And like, when she would get the vibe that like things were a little weird, she would literally say to me, "Do you need enrichment time?" And I would say, "You know what? Actually, thanks so much for asking. I do need some enrichment time." And she would fuck off. And like, thank you so much for having that self awareness. Thank you so much for having that self awareness. And then sometimes it's like, no, actually, I
That's someone
don't.
that's living with you. I don't need to ask someone who's coming over to suck my dick if
That's
I
not
need
the
self
point. That
enrichment
is
time.
that is not the point. The point being that like just having that level of self-awareness of like, am I invading this other person's space?
Anyway, so I'm just bothered because it's difficult being a gay man with a nice apartment that people think that they can just take advantage of.
It's really the nice apartment. That's a
It's
problem.
just, but it's not even that nice.
Really quickly, I have to say this and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
I was subletting my apartment when I left New York, and I like posted pictures of it on like fucking Facebook and like all the groups and like wherever else, like Craigslist and wherever you post to sublet. And this person moved in. When they moved in, I took down my shelving. I took down like all the things that I added to the room and to the apartment while I was there. And they were mad because the apartment didn't look the same as it did. It wasn't as nice as it was in the pictures. The reason it wasn't as nice as it was in the pictures was because I made it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck how much you're spending in fucking rent. Sometimes it's the vibes. Sometimes it's the energy you bring. And sometimes it is your taste.
The decor.
So regardless of how nice your apartment is, what it comes down to is the energy that you cultivate. And that is so precious and needs to be protected. And some people are not aware of that and they invade.
I'm going to be single forever.
Me too. I don't want people to approach me in public and talk to me and ask me out on dates. And you don't want people at your home. We are going to die alone. We are old maids and we will die alone.
I'm in love.
What's the homework this week? Tell them the homework. The homework this week is you are going to figure out if you and your ex have energy that can be put into words. If it can be put into words, that is not the man for you or the woman. And if it cannot be put into words, then that is your fucking soulmate and you need to get married to them. What homework are you assigning them?
The homework that I'm assigning to you is if there's a lull, you need to go into the bathroom and jerk off. If there's no lull, wait, hold on. Okay.
If there's a lull,
if there's a
shit or get off
lull,
the pot.
if there's a lull, and you guys can deviate from that respectfully, that is also your husband.
That's yes, yep.
And we're not talking about wives because we
That's
know that none of you fucking motherfuckers are looking for a fucking wife.
We have a few
straight people.
We have like 2 straight men and like a handful of lesbians that listen. So
Good.
you might have a wife.
It's the same thing.
And the rules probably apply still to those types of relationships. But if there is a lull, make your peaceful exit. Get what you need out of it very quickly and make your peaceful exit and move on. And what else are you assigning them?
Do not let fucking people overstay their welcome.
1000%. If
If
need
someone
to kick
falls
somebody
asleep, hit them in the fucking face, slap them, and drag them out.
Don't do that. But yeah, get them out. Get them out. Don't let anybody disrespect your peace.
And that's it. I have to go.
Are we aligned on that?
I have to go.
Girls, we love you so
I have
fucking
to
much.
go.
We love your exes so much and we love our exes so much. We love you. We love you. We love you.
Big
Everybody
kisses.
have a beautiful week and we will see you next Tuesday.
Love you beyond. Love you beyond.
Goodbye.
Bye.